All right, my first couple questions is just for a short promo film for PorcFest 2016 that I'm putting together. I ask everyone the first same 5 questions. So the first one is, how do you define freedom?
How do you define freedom? Well, freedom for me is an exercise of liberty. Freedom is taking action based upon liberty. And when I did the Liberty Dollar, I researched and gave a lot of thought to, should it be a freedom dollar or should it be a liberty dollar? And there's a lot of precedent along those lines, because if you look at the US Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, from what I understand, freedom is an exercise of liberty.
How would you define liberty?
Liberty is the innate nature of being able to do what you want to do.
What do you do for liberty?
Well, probably the thing I did most and most noted for would be the Liberty Dollar. And the Liberty Dollar is one of a model to show what you could do in a monetary system that frees you from the government manipulated crap, otherwise known as the US dollar.
Why do you attend PorcFest?
They paid me. I wasn't going. Jim Babb called me out of the blue. People call me out of the blue. I don't understand it. But Jim Babb called me and says, how would you like to go to PorcFest? I said, I don't have any money. And he goes, well, if money is no object, would you like to go? I said, oh, hell, I'd like to go. I'd been to PorcFest many years ago, right after it got started, because that was part of the whole brew of what I was doing and people I was working with who were supporting Liberty Dollar. I mean, all this sort of stuff was just, it was a really rich environment. And so going back to PorcFest again was really cool idea. So I said, yeah, hey, they give me some money. It's just cover my expenses. I'll go. So can I give you a little side story about how synchronistic this whole thing is?
Please.
Okay. I have 2 sons. Youngest one, MBA, works back in Tokyo. The other son's an artist, has a studio in Manhattan. And so I go to the PorcFest, and the lady who's the head organizer, Kristen, I run into her, and she immediately drops everything that she's doing. She's the head organizer. And she takes me on a tour of the whole thing for almost 2 hours. And I go, wait a minute, Kristen, don't you have things to do? Well, as it turns out, we stop right in front of the bar. There's that VIP bar there.
Yeah.
And it's decked out with Sailor Jerry banners.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming out of the bar, and I'm looking at the Sailor Jerry banners, and I'm going, wow, Sailor Jerry, are they donating? Are they a contributor towards PorcFest? She goes, oh, yeah, you know. I go, really? I said, she goes, oh, you know, I'm a friend who does the PR and all this sort of stuff, and they just gave us this whole package and, you know, some money and everything. I said, really? I said, would that be Dana? She goes, you know Dana? I go, Dana Dynamite? She goes, Dana Dynamite, one of my best friends. I said, she goes, you must know her. I said, she lives with my son. What do you think the odds of that happening? You know, she's sleeping. Her best friend is sleeping with my son. Small world. But this is how my world is, to be honest with you, Richard. It's just absolutely crazy. It's just one thing after another thing. It's very dynamic. I mean, I just stand around and things happen, and I go, fuck. Or I shouldn't have said that. Damn. How does this shit happen? You know. So here I am. I'm doing this interview with you. So next.
From where did you come, and how did you get here? Plane or driving?
Both. There's no plane coming into Lancaster, I found out. So I came in through Birmingham. And is it Birmingham? Birmingham? Any case, so I flew in there and rented a car and just drove over. So cool.
And where did your trip originate?
Actually, right now, I've been hanging out down in South Florida, Naples area.
What's your favorite part of PorcFest?
It's the same favorite part of Liberty Dollar. The best part of the Liberty Dollar was the quality of people that were attracted to the Liberty Dollar. They were brilliant, dedicated, honest, uh, informed, resourceful, terrific. PorcFest is not the same, I hate to use this word class, but, and it's a younger and it's a scruffier sort of group of people. This isn't Waldorf Astoria sort of group of people. This is, more kids sort of thing. But it's still that refreshing, exciting ability to make some change and to do something. That's what I like the most.
Why should folks at home consider coming to PorcFest 2016 or making it their family vacation?
I don't know if they should. Unless they really fit into that mode. Because if you're going to take family members that may be totally disjointed in terms of interest or sexes or ages and take them to someplace where they don't want to go, like early teens, for example, then I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should force anything upon our children. I have two sons. They're both very sharp and they're both very different. And I don't force anything on them at all. I would not have thought that my son, my youngest son, would have gotten a degree in physics from UCLA and then get an MBA and a degree in finance from Northeastern and go to work for Bank of Tokyo. I mean, that's bizarre. I would never have figured that out. I would never have thought my other son would have dropped everything and become an artist. But these are things people do. And so you got to let your kids do what they want to do and not cart them off to some place out in the woods that they may find offensive. So far, so good.
All right, so that's the end of that part, and now I'm going to interview you for a separate section of a video, this is the part I would cut into a film. So, who are you, and what are you known for?
My name is Bernard von NotHaus. I'm the monetary architect of the Liberty Dollar. I'm the person who designed and developed the Liberty Dollar, which really started with my epiphany on September the 11th, 1974. So after that epiphany, I wrote an economic research paper titled To No Value. This was just a few months before gold was legalized. But of course, if you had money, every broker set you up in Canada, sell you as much gold as you wanted. I found that basically offensive because that's the right of money. Money always talks. But what about other people? Well, interesting enough, most of the people I was in contact with, my neighbors and things, they all were trust fund babies. They all had money too, So I wrote my paper and I went around and I sold it, and all of a sudden I found myself going from living in a little house that we built on $30 a month without a car or electricity to flying around dealing in the gold market. So I went from that environment to a 25-year period of becoming, for lack of a better definition, a monetary expert and designing a particular currency that would function in parallel with the US dollar. So after I did all that, I was ready to retire, and that's where you really got to make that decision. Do you go off and do something like this? Ballsy. Give up living on Diamond Head, and do you chuck everything and follow your patriotic inclinations? So I relied upon the only message that I've really learned about politics or about the Republican system, and that is, in the Republican system, as a citizen, the only thing you're really required to do is to do what you think is best for the country. So I knew there was something wrong with the money, so I followed my heart, if not my pocketbook, which was rewarded. With $6,300, I launched Liberty Dollar, grew into 85 million, 250,000 people using it. Then there was the warning for the U.S. Mint. Then there was the raid where they confiscated 13 tons of gold and silver. And then there was the arrest. And then there was the trial. And then there was conviction. And sentenced finally after 3.5 years. And here I sit.
How would you describe a monetary architect? That's a moniker you've given yourself. What is a monetary architect?
Person who designs and develops monetary systems. Originally, it's a pun to a certain extent, because originally, academically, and my profession before I got into the gold market was an architect on the big island of Hawaii, right? And we just had this cute little cabin that we made, and even it was just cute. 2 young kids in love, you know, a lot of drugs, sex, and rock and roll. I mean, no electricity, who cares? You know, it was just a wonderful thing. And I did a series of houses on the big island, all of them a lot bigger than mine. But that was cool. But so when I had to describe myself, I have always described myself as an architect. And so, you know, there's monetary economics, there's always these things that are attached to monetary. So I said, well, the apt description would be a monetary architect. So that's who I am. I'm the first, the only, and probably the last. I mean, after getting arrested and all this, do you think there's going to be too many people chasing after my, going down my field? You know, I don't have too many followers right now, but I don't give a damn. I'm in my 70s, right? So this is the time to do something that you believe in.
Why did the government come after you, and what specifically did they charge you with?
Well, as I said, I just think I was having too much fun, and I was too successful. To give you an idea of the differential, and I don't know if this fits, but this really defines it for me because it has to do with numbers, right? Okay, so I already told you that we had, I tossed in $6,300 that bought 1,000 ounces of silver when silver was $6.30. So that was our starting capital. So in the 10 years from 1998 to 2008, that 10-year period, without any advertising, without any sort of sharpness on my part or marketing even for that matter, just driving around my silver fat-ass Cadillac, talking about money and talking about bad money versus good money. The Liberty Dollar moved from the $10 base to the $20 base to the $50 base. So in those 10 years, the Liberty Dollar appreciated 500%. Now this is a currency that's functioning in parallel with the US dollar, and everybody's making money on it. Everybody's buying it at a discount and using it at a profit. Very dynamic profit model. We reward people. That makes people happy. Okay, so that's one equation. So I could say the Liberty Dollar appreciated 500%, but that's not the truth. The real truth is that in those same 10 years, the US dollar, according to their own figures, of the value of the US dollar from 1913 when the Federal Reserve came in to 2008, in the 10 years, but starting with the dollar measured at 100 cents on the dollar in 1913 to 2008. In those 10 years, it lost 2 cents, but it was already down to 4 cents, so it lost 2 cents, so it lost 50% of its purchasing power. 50, can you imagine that, getting ripped off? I mean, retirement funds, what you're trying to do, braces for the kid, whatever it is, right? So when you take those 50% loss, and on top of that, the 500% appreciation is an even 1,000% differential between the government crap and a value-based currency. That was a proven model. Look up the statistics.
So what did the government end up charging you with?
Well, originally there was a variety of different charges, but basically they charged me with fraud. That had to be dropped. You know why? There was no damaged party. There was no fraud. They couldn't come up with anybody that I defrauded. Matter of fact, they didn't ever come up with any victims. Matter of fact, in a case this large, no restitution. I didn't pay any restitution because I didn't cheat anybody. I didn't defraud anybody. Matter of fact, everybody profited. So it was one of counterfeiting, violating 486, which is using a similar product in the marketplace, like a US dollar, and the fraud, and then there was the overall charge of being the ringleader. So that was ringleader. Well, I was a ringleader. I was a monetary architect.
Do you see any parallels between your case and the case against Ross Ulbricht?
Certainly, in terms of suppression, is obvious and blatant, and in terms of Ross, is, I don't have a word for it. It is just so horrendous. And you watch Lynn's presentation, very articulate. They just brought out every single gun, trick, deception, misrepresentation possible in terms of sandbagging Ross. And to his credit is what he did while he was in jail and what he's doing and everything else. As Lynn pointed out in her talk yesterday, Ross wanted to present a free market. That's exactly what I wanted to do, was present a free market currency. So there was an awful lot of similitude there, and he just, they didn't murder him because he's still alive, but I'm sure they would have liked to.
How do we not have a free market? Why were both you and Ross trying to create something that represents a free market?
We don't have a free market. I don't even know where there would be a free market. I mean, we could bring up cannabis. Is there a free market in cannabis? Not really, because of this overbearing government authority that screws with the market. I mean, marijuana laws. I mean, well, maybe I guess we could take Washington, Oregon, and Colorado of having a free market in cannabis now. But that isn't a free market anywhere else, because the prices have to meet the legal demands that are imposed on it. Okay, so the thing is that when you control the money, you're controlling the people, you're controlling the market. That's why my pet phrase was change the money, change the country, change the world. And that's what Ross was doing, and he was changing the world. I hadn't gotten to that, although Liberty Dollar was popular in a lot of different countries outside the United States, particularly Australia and Germany, very popular. Japan was popular. We had distributors, a lot of international distributors. So what Ross was doing was just saying, hey, you can put up anything you want to do. I mean, this is a platform. And he was extremely successful, and he was extremely murdered, persecuted, whatever you want to put it. He's still alive, so he's really not murdered.
What, in your opinion, is the relationship between prohibition and black markets?
Well, any market, regardless of what the situation is a response to demand. People want sex? Hey, there's a lot of people out there that are willing to meet that demand. So if there's persecution in any particular field, well then, again, that's what disrupts the free market. Why do prostitutes charge what they have? Well, they got overhead. They got to take care of an attorney that's going to bail them out, or they've got to have, alternate personalities or locations and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't make any difference where it is. If there's any sort of negative effect, call it persecution, but if there's any negative effect, which might be varied in terms of laws, regulations, or besides persecution, laws against different things, laws against marijuana, any of those things are forms of persecution. Wrong. The government should get out of the whole business of trying to tell people what is moral. The government, of all things on this planet, are the most immoral, detestable organization, because it isn't just people, it's the organization, it's the culture that we're really up against. The culture of an oppressive government. I thought that we proved that when the wall came down between East and West Germany, and in the early 90s when the Soviet Empire fell. I mean, look at Russia now. Russia is a freer country than the United States. Oh yeah, it's a gunso, and the KGB is terrible, and yeah, they murdered a lot of people. Yeah, there is no doubt about that. But it's the same as the CIA or FBI or anything else. There's no difference there, except that we have been whitewashed or deceived or misinformed about how bad our government is. There's no word to describe how bad our government is. I mean, you could start with Pearl Harbor if you wanted to, or Vietnam, or, Ruby Ridge, or you could go on to Oklahoma City bombing, or you could go to the towers. I mean, there is no shortage of examples of how damn dirty this government is. Whores are more honest than the whores in government.
How were you made an example to discourage others from trying to explore a free market?
Well, they convicted me. That's pretty easy. What's interesting is that a lot of people just don't give a damn. They're so agitated and they're so dedicated to being able to do something against this. I'm going to use this phrase, goddamn government, because it is goddamn government. They don't give a damn. I don't know if you're familiar with the New Liberty Dollar.
I'm not.
Oh, after I was convicted, a very bright, dedicated young guy says, I can't take it. I'm going to go to my attorneys, pretty well-off guy. I'm going to go to my attorney. I'm going to get a review. I'm going to get a legal opinion. I'm going to get him. He's a criminal attorney, which I didn't have. I'm going to have him do the background and stand ready to defend me if they come after me. But I'm going to make a statement about what they did to you. And name it Liberty Dollar. And even put the same image on here. I mean, damn. I cautioned the guy. I said, hey, you're a good guy. I don't want anything bad happen to you. Look what's bad happened to me. And he goes, we got to make a stand. And he did. And they never came after him. Look at Bud Gun Dollars. Bud Gun Dollars, man. Got Liberty head on. I mean, man, it's got guns on it. Government didn't buy into that one. Kind of tells you that maybe intimidation does work to a certain extent. I mean, those bastards are keeping track of everything, except for this one right now, I hope.
That's right.
You're not with the government, are you, Richard?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm with myself.
Good.
And I don't label myself because I feel that negates my best aspects. So I'm just a dude.
Just like me.
Yeah.
Just a couple of regular guys hanging out here in the country, right?
Dude is an unlimited reference. That's why I feel uncomfortable using it. In your case, was there a motion for summary judgment? And if so, what happened?
Oh, yeah, we got 54 million documents. I mean, it was huge. There's no way that you could possibly review that. It was totally stilted. They just basically buried us. But the worst part about it were the two defense attorneys. Absolutely dirtbag shit, co-op. There's nothing I could possibly say bad enough to define these people. And people is a gross misnomer.
What can you tell us about the FBI raid and how much gold and silver did they seize from you?
Okay, well, just to back up for 1 year, because the year before the FBI raid, the U.S. Mint issued a warning saying that use of the Liberty Dollar was illegal. We went to our attorneys and we tried to get a declaratory judgment, which usually is the method of operation in terms of dealing with the U.S. Mint when they say that some product is not kosher. And we did that, and we worked on that, and my attorneys worked on that, and eventually just said, well, go on, Bernard, with your business, because, this is going to take some time. Well, what happened was the FBI was stalling the whole thing through the DOJ, through the U.S. Mint, and so that we couldn't get our declaratory judgment. Hey, listen, I would have been happy to stop. I mean, hey, listen, if you can tell me, if we go to court And the judge says, okay, I looked at the evidence. This is illegal. Don't do it. Hell, I'm not going to go out and do it. But they would never do that. So they stalled and they stalled. And a year later, almost exactly a year later, the FBI, November 14th and November 15th of 2007, they raided 6 different places in 4 different states all at the same time. Do you think that was a coincidence? I mean, God, are they that well organized? Well, in that case, they were that well organized. Of course, they had a whole year to get it organized, you know. So they raided the warehouse. Want to hear a quick little story? Do we have time for a quick little story?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they drive up in a car to the depository, which is a huge mint. And they get out, they got a search warrant, they serve the search warrant, you know, and they did not think there was anything there. They thought it was some sort of Ponzi scheme, that Bernard was just blowing smoke at a lot of people, and it was total bullshit. I mean, and this is with a CPA physical audit every single month. We're talking about counting every damn ounce in the storage every month. We're talking 200,000 ounces every month by a CPA. Okay, Gap, the whole thing. I mean, you know, we're talking about by the book.
Yeah.
They didn't believe any of that. They just thought, oh, a lot of bullshit. I mean, you know, Bernard can make these things up, you know. I mean, invent CPAs, why not? I mean, you know, Bernie Madoff. So they got out there and they didn't think anything was there. And so the guy there says, wow, how are you going to take this stuff? He goes, well, we got a car. We're talking about 11 tons now. Yeah, at this one facility. And he got a car. Because we got quite a bit of stuff. And they go, well, okay, we'll go get a truck. So they went and got a pickup truck, half-ton pickup truck. Well, I don't know if you know anything about weight, but you can't put 11 tons in a half-ton pickup truck. It just doesn't work that way. So when they came to pick up, he came out, fuck you guys are screwed up, man. I go, dude, we had a lot of stuff. We got a truck. You know, we're city slickers. We got a truck. You know. So the guys went out and got a flatbed truck. But, you know, a 1, 2.5 flatbed truck, that still doesn't cut it, you know. So then they found out what they had. Well, then it began to dawn on them exactly like, duh, we got a whole bunch of stuff that we got to pick up, you know. So they went and got a big-ass truck, and they loaded up the truck. So they were getting ready to leave, and the guy at the depository says, can't leave. I told the FBI, you can't leave. They go, what do you mean you can't leave? You can't leave until you sign this paper. You're not walking out here with, 11 plus tons of gold, silver, platinum. You're not walking out here without signing it. We'll send you a record of it. We got it all written down. We'll send you. He said, you don't understand. You see that guard up there? This is a high security area.
Yeah.
They run through something like 5 million ounces of silver a month. That's big time. So you see that guy up there? I go, yeah. He works for me. He won't let you out of the gate until you sign. He goes, well, I don't have anything to sign. He pulls out the record. He goes, I've been keeping track of everything I give you. Mm-hmm. He says, you sign, otherwise you don't leave. The FBI looked at him and said, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. And the guy said, I don't care what you want to think about me, but you either sign or you ain't leaving. Fuck you. Get in trouble. Left. That's how they confiscated. They went to the CPA firms, confiscated all the CPA records. They went to the printing company, confiscated all the paper. They went to the fulfillment house in Indiana, picked up 2 or 3 more tons there. Anyway, so I say 13 tons. I really don't know because they got the records, but it's 13. It's a nice even figure. We don't know what it is, but it's what they usually call a shit pot full.
People who want to support your work, where can they find you and what can they do to support you?
Well, I'm historically broke, but I'm not out here crying the blues on that because I don't think that's going to go anywhere. How can they support me? I really don't have an answer for that question. Um, there's a couple of different projects that are in the works. If somebody wanted to do something off camera, uh, there's things happening. Um, I'm not playing a role in the things because I'm damaged goods, but the government has not improved the value of their money. So guess what? There's still a mission out there, and there's still a lot of people that want to take on that mission.
I heard you're making a film. I'm interested. What's the topic, and how can people help with that?
Well, thanks for asking. The film started when I was living in Malibu. I lived out there for 2 years and met a lot of people. The New York Times came out and gave me a terrific article. It was a great article out there. And of course, a friend of mine gave me a great 40-acre estate to live in, so everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I used that as a springboard to reconnect with a bunch of old friends. And they reconnected with other old friends, and we've hatched an idea about doing a documentary on the Liberty Dollar, which I like a lot. Not because of me, but because the Liberty Dollar stands out as a large effort by literally thousands, upwards to 250,000 people that participate in this program.
Mm-hmm.
So documenting that, getting the record straight, getting the numbers straight, I think is an important move. I think it could become a key in-class model in terms of monetary economics. Here is a model that was designed and developed by one person that was embraced by thousands of people, that was wildly successful. So we're raising some money for that. We're collecting raw data from the interviews I've been doing, and it's just kind of like cooking along right now.
Bernard, you're a fascinating character in America's history of the Second American Revolution. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
My pleasure. I always like talking about Liberty Dollar. It was a cool currency. You just never know what's going to happen. I mean, you never know. You put it out there. It's kind of like dating. You don't know. This babe looks so good. You'd like that date. You never know if she's going to go out with you. Hey, listen, as we all know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So that's where it's at. Thank you so much.